The woman was wiping the mirror when she suddenly realized the woman in the reflection's portrait had moved in a bizarre way. But when she turned around to look, the portrait seemed completely normal. At first, she figured she must have imagined it, because how could a portrait possibly move? However, what happened next made her regret it for the rest of her life, because there was also a creepy painting in her older daughter's room. In the painting, the person was holding a pair of scissors and a comb. Ever since they moved into this new house, her older daughter had felt increasingly unnerved by that painting, so she immediately tried to take it down, but it seemed to be stuck to the wall, almost as if it had grown there. No matter what she did, it wouldn't budge. It was as though there wasn't a painting on the wall at all, but rather a person. That night, her older daughter was fast asleep in her room when she suddenly heard the snipping sound of scissors right next to her. And then, out of nowhere, her hair was inexplicably cut off. When she woke up the next morning, her once lovely long hair had been chopped into a complete mess. Furious, Annie immediately suspected her mischievous younger sister, so she barged into her sister's room to confront her. But the strangest thing was her sister had no idea what she was talking about. Her face was the picture of innocence, because she had stayed in her room all night, leaving Annie completely at a loss. Soon, it was nighttime again. She had just finished washing her hair and was getting ready for bed when she suddenly heard that same snip-snip of scissors, recalling how her hair had mysteriously been cut the night before. She found herself more and more disturbed by the painting in her room, so she grabbed a piece of cloth and covered it up. Little did she know that in the middle of the night, a hand would slowly emerge from beneath the cloth and start cutting her hair again. As Annie opened her eyes, that hand quickly slipped back under the white cloth. Seeing that her hair had been cut once more, Annie again thought of her sister, but just as she left her room to confront her, she suddenly paused, because there was no way her sister would come to her room this late. As confusion took over, she noticed the cloth on the painting begin to move, and could vaguely see someone standing behind it. In that instant, Annie felt a chill run down her spine, and hurried into a nearby closet to hide. But when the cloth finally fell to the floor, there was no one behind it. Annie had no idea what to do, when suddenly, she heard the snipping of scissors right behind her. The figure had appeared at her back. Terrified, Annie struggled with all her might, finally managing to scramble out of the closet. Hearing her screams, Mom and Dad rushed in. They asked what on earth had happened, but Annie was too frightened to speak. She just pointed at the eerie painting on the wall, crying that the man in the painting had come out. Dad was immediately skeptical, because how could anyone come out of a painting? Everyone assumed Annie had simply had a nightmare, but clearly, her hair had been cut. Seeing that she didn't look like she was lying, Dad decided to remove that creepy painting. Unfortunately, it was so firmly stuck to the wall, it was impossible to take down. With no other option, Dad called his son over to help. Working together, they finally managed to pry the painting off. Little did they know, what followed would be even more terrifying. Later that night, Mom was asleep in her room when she suddenly heard footsteps outside. At first, she thought maybe a burglar had broken in, but the moment she stepped out, she saw a little boy running around on the stairs in the middle of the night, and then he dived straight into the painting on the wall. It was obvious that little boy wasn't her son. He was the very figure from inside the painting.